Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show presented by Dirt Track Supply. It is Puka, once again joined by the Rhino. You can see the theme we're going with this week just a little bit. Maybe you could see, I don't know. You think they get the idea, Ryan?
God bless America. I tell you, that's one thing about race fans, right? We are patriot. Race fans love America, the national anthem. You don't see people kneeling at the racetrack. It just doesn't happen, right? And if they do, they can go to a different racetrack. We don't want them at ours. So, so definitely God bless America. And I'll start with this. Grand Rapids Speedway this Thursday night, Dowlinger Ford Grand Rapids Speedway. Puka, your hometown there, salute the troops night. So if you're active military, a veteran, you get in free. Just go on over there. That's the Grand Rapids Speedway's way of thanking you. They should do it every single week, but a little something extra there for those that have served our country. So pretty cool. And, hey, little shout out here, our boy there, Trevor Anderson.
Yeah.
Speaking of dirt race or Dirt Track Supply, I'm thinking Dirt Race Central, really. Okay, so Dirt Track Supply, obviously second to none as far as service goes. I mean, they sell parts to, everyone. They'll sell nationwide. Obviously right now it's like if you can get the parts, kind of. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But they service the racetrack. They have a great store over there. They work on cars. They build cars. They build the aero chassis. And Trevor Anderson parked in Victory Lane this week at Miller. He got another win in the 20. So hats off to him. And Jeremy Castro, he's got an aero street stock Puka 4 in a row. He parked in Victory Lane 4 in a row. So getting her done, aero chassis. They're seeing some wins out there, and I think there's a lot more yet to come. The season's still young. So let's get to it. Episode number 86, Puka. All right, 86. Who you got?
As a guy I brought up a couple of weeks ago, so I was questioning. I couldn't remember if he was 82 or 86, but Jack Haugen out of Evelyn. That's the 86 that I remember. Is that your guy?
That's who I have. I literally could not think of another one. There was another one in eastern Wisconsin. I was hoping Bert was going to join us. He's coming back soon. Super excited for that. And I know there's another 86 over there. I actually have a picture of the guy's car. I don't know who it is. I think it was at the 100 one year. I got a picture. But Jack Haugen, do you remember much about Jack?
I remember... No, I think I was at a race in like 86, Wreckham Rodeo. Larry Mackey in a hobby stock rolled over that night, and I'm pretty sure Jack won the feature, or he was like a top 3 car. That's how I remember who he was. And then I know you said last week you used to kind of run around with Larry Peterlin a little bit.
Yep. No, I don't remember him winning. He must have won at least, you'd think he won at least a couple, but I don't remember that. No, I have a story. So remember they used to always have like powder puffs and races and all that. Well, we're down at the Proctor Speedway and it was like 81, 82. Ron Jones was driving for my dad in the super stocks. And John Erickson, you remember John and Johnny? Big John, he pitted for my dad back then. And Vicky went to all the races. So, which would be Johnny's sister.
Yeah.
Well, she drove the powder puff, right? And the story I remember is she was side by side coming through 3 and 4 on the last corner. And she said, because they used to pit in the infield, Jack Haugen said, "Stand on it." Like he screamed it at the top of his lungs. And she's like, "I actually heard him." I'm like, well, that's weird, right? And she stood on it. She won the powder puff and yard sailed it right off the end of turn number 1. It's like, oh no. And they had it, I think they had it at intermission. So I was too remember if stuff got wrecked, but I remember her winning and I remember her yard sailing off turn 1. But that's my Jack Haugen story. Needless to say, the 86 late model, and I ain't heard that name for a long time.
Yeah.
So Puka, let's start with a little sprint car action. It was a big week for a lot of sprint cars. They had I don't even know what they called it. It was the Huset's Jackson week. Of course, the guy that owns Jackson also bought Huset's this last year. And they had a doubleheader at Huset's where it was 10 grand to win. I think it was on Monday. And then it was 30 grand to win on Tuesday. Then it was supposed to be Wednesday off, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think Friday maybe rained out or Saturday rained out. So they had to run that one there on Sunday. But it was 10 grand, and then 50 grand to win, which ended up being Sunday. And if you won both of them, there was $100,000 bonus, both of the finales. And right away, night number one, David Gravel, he parked in Victory Lane. Of course, he's sponsored, right, by, it says Jackson Speedway Houston. It's all over his car. So it's like, oh boy, here we go. Is this baby?
Yeah.
What do we got going on here? Well, he made, I think, night two didn't go very good for him. Reitzel parked it in Victory Lane. And what kept me engaged as a fan, right? What kept me engaged in that deal, and don't get me wrong, World of Outlaw Sprint Car Racing has been really good, right? You know, and Keith keeps pointing that out, that it's been better than the late models. And he's right. It has been, okay?
Good.
So there's no doubt about that. But what kept me engaged is if Reitzel were to win the finale then at Jackson, he'd get not only 30 and 50, but he was going to get $100,000 bonus on top of it. So I was intrigued, and he wasn't all that good at Jackson. He just never really was in contention to win. The first couple nights, so the madman Kerry Madsen, 14th to first or something.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, 14th to first. Yeah,
that was impressive. And then Shukart won the finale. So, you know, anything stick out to you from the World of Outlaws? I mean, there's 5 nights of racing there, but you know, you're an entrepreneur, you're a capitalist guy. What sticks out more to you? The racing, that much money on the line, the fan base? I mean, what stuck out to you with the Woo stuff here this past week?
Well, like we talked about a little bit last week, I mean, bringing in the governor, I mean, how great is that? I mean, that's just, like I said, there's not a lot of political clout and a lot of fairground situations where you need to butter up the politicians, or at least politicians are ultimately in charge, and you need to butter them up a little bit. So I thought that was really cool. A couple of world-class facilities. I mean, the crowds look fantastic, you know, at both places. But yeah, Kerry Madsen, for those of you that don't know, that Smokes, you know, that was Donnie Schott's teammate, races for Smoke for TSR. And yeah, a guy that's pretty infrequent to Victory Lane, but just, you know, pretty dang, you know, even Friday, a pretty dominating performance by him. But Friday night's race in Jackson there, about the last 20 with Macedo, Schuart, Sweet, kind of swapping a lead, moving around. I thought that was some pretty good racing. And then, yeah, just kind of ending the weekend, Sweet's, you know, still got the lead over Gravel by 60 points. He picked up 4 points over the weekend. What stuck out to you?
Well, what stuck out to me, first of all, is there was, 5 races, right? So that would have made 5 times 6 of us, right? So 5 races times 6 people. Isn't that 30 picks? Is that right? So there was 30 picks, and we got 0 right. I'm like, how bad do we suck when we have 30 chances to get it right, and we can't even get 1 right? Not even 1 pick right out of 30. It's like, man, I think we just give up on this whole pick-em deal for the sprint cars. I'll just pick Sweet the rest of the year. I'm not really sure, you know. So that was terrible. You know, I think the governor being there was pretty cool. I did not see her wearing a racing suit with all the businesses she represents. I didn't see that. You know, that's kind of the ongoing thing.
That's good.
That would have been good at the racetrack to see a politician with all, we're sponsored by this.
Yeah. This is my favorite lobbyist. My second favorite one. Represent this. Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, what's interesting is the gentleman that owns that track, was it Queering? Is it Queering?
Todd Queering. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually had his business in Minnesota down by Jackson, and with all the COVID stuff and all the regulations, and they told him that he couldn't have employees there, and there's just, they made a big mess of it. He says, screw it, I'm out. And he literally shut the doors, moved his business, which he wasn't real far from South Dakota anyway, but he up and moved his whole business to South Dakota. Right. And that's when at the end of the year last year, they just canceled. Remember, they had some big races at Jackson. They canceled the rest of the season. And they canceled the rest of the season. He's like, screw it, I'll just go to South Dakota. We'll just do whatever we want over there. You know, so it just made sense that he brought the governor in, right? Because it's like, you know, their governor is better than the Minnesota and Illinois governor. I'll just be honest.
You had mentioned that last year because, was it right? I think it was like this time, because one of the first big Woo shows was because Cedar Lake had remember the body scanners last year over the 4th? But it was right before that, you know, that Jackson had both the sprints and the late models. And I remember you saying, well, he's kind of buddies with Wall, so he got the race and no one else is racing. I'm like, well, you're right. That's interesting. So, but obviously
maybe that's not the case. I'm not really sure because he shut his business down. So maybe he's not that good of buddies. I'm not really sure. That would have been false, right? But back to Cedar Lake, of course, that's where the World of Outlaws are going this weekend. The sprint cars are going to be Friday and Saturday over at the Cedar Lake Speedway. You know, and they put on a good show there. I'm kind of excited to see Donnie Schatz get around that place because it's pretty slippery. It's not a hammer down. It really doesn't build a big cushion. Cedar Lake's not really a cushion track. I don't know if they'll prep it different here this weekend. But Cedar Lake Speedway. If you're a sprint car fan and you're in the area, I'd get over there. It should be a pretty good show. So with that said, Puka, let's talk a little late model action. And right here, okay,
there it is.
Golden Hammer. I'm gonna start with this. I made my first ever trip to the Devil's Lake Speedway out in Devil's Lake, North Dakota. And I was excited. 28 late models there. So that's got to be one of the top shows of the whole season so far, right? Of course, the Masters had more. It was the Masters, right? But other than that, I think there's maybe only a couple shows at I-94 that maybe had more. Because I mean, I think that was like one of the first times I saw a B main, right? So you have things of the past. You have phone booths, B mains, and yeah, so they brought B mains back. So phone booths are coming back, I think. It freaking rained, Puka, literally about 45 minutes before the races. And the track looked good. I'm like, man, it looks like in good shape. And I talked to Brad Singh, and, you know, he's got a lot of experience, won a lot of races. And he's like, you know, Nolan knows how to prep a racetrack. I've seen a lot of races on TV, and they're all 3 wide, and there's a lot of good racing. And it rained. It's like, come, man, are you kidding me? And it was one of those deals where it dumped a lot in a hurry, so they had to pack it in. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm giving kudos to Nolan and Heather out there at Devil's Lake, because they had what I like to call a backbone. Okay. Some people call it a backbone. I'm going to call it a backbone. Now we'll stick with that. And what I mean by this is the track was obviously slimy, right? So they went around the pits and they're like, well, we got to pack this in. And it wasn't like it was a monsoon. So, no, I packed track back when I raced, and I remember like so much mud under the decking where it would almost like collapse the decking. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that, right? It just needed to be packed in. They needed to have some hot laps to kind of create a racing groove. Most everybody in all the classes went out there. They went around, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times through the pits. Hey, we need you out there to pack. We need you to hot lap. We got to work this track in. Well, there was a few drivers in the late models, not many, but a few that I ain't packing. I'm not going out there. Guess what they did in the heat race?
To the back?
To the back.
Woo!
And I'm like,
good for
that
them.
is cool. I hadn't seen that in years. First of all, I hadn't seen packing in years, but you normally don't have to pack at the Devil's Lake Speedway. Let's be honest, right? It rained, right? So if you're a racer and it rains and you're too much of a jerk off to go out there and pack, quit being a Sally, okay? So another thing is this. I talked to a few drivers and they're like, my car, I haven't raced on the sticky stuff. Okay, fair enough. Now, wouldn't you think that if the track's sticky and it's 2,000 to win, you know, there's chances it could rain at any special. What if you get to a 10 grand to win show and it rains? Like the sights last year, remember how hammered down it was in the heats? What if that happens again? Don't you think you might want to figure out how to get your car to turn? Just a thought, right? Just a thought. Now, if they're paying 500 to win, yeah, you might load up, whatever. But if they're paying 10 grand to win, 2 grand to win, whatever, you think you want to maybe have a fighting chance. Myself, I'd be like, I'm going to go out for hot laps and see if my car turns. Dude, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. I'm sitting back watching hot laps with my buddy Kalen, right? We're kicked back, and like everybody's locked left. They couldn't turn. There was like 3 of them that got their cars to rotate, and I'm like, if Bobby Pierce would here, he would lap the field 3 times. I mean, because they know how to drive on moisture. They just get on it. They hammer down. These guys are all driving in. Their cars rocked over on the right front. Like literally people that hot lap went out for the heat race and their stuff's all, you know, tucked over like they're racing on the dry slick and bottoming out and pushing up the racetrack. And they're like, oh, man, the track's not good. It's like, no, you just don't know anything about a race car.
Well, don't most of those guys race weekly in Grand Forks? I mean, it's gumbo. It
hasn't been heavy in Forks.
But I've seen
it hasn't been heavy in Forks for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Not like it used to be. But a lot of these drivers, right? Now, I paid attention. I was really watching which guys got their cars to turn. One guy that stuck out to me, Jeffrey Massingill, right? He don't race on a lot of sticky stuff, but he got his car to turn. Why? Because he's a student of the game, right? He's trying to figure out, you know, everything on how to make the car turn. I'm not saying like he's the next, Rumley out there, right? But he's a student. A lot of drivers out there in all classes, they're like, well, which bar do you have which hole do you have your bar in on the right rear? They're like, well, the third one is what the book says. They don't even know what bar angles. They don't know anything about a car. They're like, well, the book says to do this, right? you could tell the people that had a little bit of an idea on what to do. Don Shaw, he drove away.
Yeah.
There was a couple guys that Brody Troftgruben, he got put to the back in the heat because he didn't pack. But he put a show on. He won the B main. He was up inside the top 3, maybe 4, and somehow got off the back straightaway. He still finished in the top 5. He put on a hell of a show. This Brandon Fuller dude that, like, he almost won last week in Grand Forks. He was on the pump. He was super exciting. But the fact is, it is what it is, right? I mean, number one, if you're not sure if the car is going to turn, why wouldn't you hot lap? Why wouldn't you want to try to figure out, like, okay, it didn't turn in hot laps. Now I at least have an opportunity to make some adjustments. So when I go to the heat, I can actually rotate and turn the car. And some of the guys that didn't hot lap, well, they finished in the back of the heat because they couldn't get their car to turn. So that's their own fault. But I just want to give them kudos because most people don't have the guts anymore to put people to the back for that, and they did. And I was kind of bummed out because of the rain because I wanted to see some really, really good racing. But I mean, it was entertaining nonetheless. But what do you do on a track like that? I'll take that over dry slick, one lane on the bottom, marbly, rubber down stuff all day long. But it wasn't I'm going to have to go back. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to have to get back.
Did you have a steak dinner?
Watch that race?
Did you have a steak dinner on the patio?
I didn't. I tried to I got a hold of my buddy Kevin up there, Pappenfuss, that ran a super stock. And he's like, I'm just too busy. He was going to come. And so I just sat up there with Kaylin and Lynn up there. We sat together, watched the races, and I'm gonna have to go back up there and have a steak dinner. So
there you go.
Sure. So I know you. Did you watch that feature? I think you jumped online and watched it.
Yeah, I jumped in and just and I, with all the cautions, I just couldn't keep my interest. And once Shaw got out front, I kind of figured, this is kind of going to be Shaw's night. Although, like I said, Troftgruben won that race last year, right?
Right.
So he was, he definitely's got to figure it out up there.
Another thing that stuck out to me on this was there was a restart. It was past halfway point, I think. And at this time, Dustin Strand was in 5th place, right? So on the Delaware start, that was going to put him not on the front, but on I guess it would have been technically the 3rd row on the outside. And the track was pretty narrow because of the mud, but he was up there packing in above the cushion. Remember the old Steve Arpin line above the cushion? He was packing that in up there, right? And he fully anticipated on the start where if the guy would have fired right at the coming off of turn 4, he was going to try to get that run and go around the high side. Well, the leader caught everybody by surprise. He fired way early and caught everybody sleeping. So he tried the top, but it didn't work to his advantage. But that's a veteran move right there. Somebody that's got some balls, right? To pack in a no man's land groove and try to make something happen. I was a little disappointed that the guy fired early because I wanted to see if maybe he could have come out of 2 in the lead, but it is what it is. So good car count up there. And I think Edgerton and rookie Mike Gresseth are 1st and 2nd in the NLRA points right now. It's pretty tight. Couple rainouts there.
That's impressive.
Yep. So World of Outlaw late models. Did you watch up in Lernerville?
Yeah, I watched everything there. And for those of you fans that kind of want to get more nostalgic and you long for the days when specials were dry top to bottom, and not in a bad way, dry top to bottom, but you can still move around and still pass. Like, for instance, on Saturday night, the finale would Lanigan. Jeez, oh man, I'm getting old. 21st to 4th, but definitely one of those tracks, smooth, dry, top to bottom, but guys were still able to get around. And I guess in my opinion, Thursday, Friday, pretty uneventful, but pretty cool to see some of the names like Mike Norris running towards the front, because so the weekend previous, we kind of missed out on some of that Pennsylvania stuff. If there's got to be an upset in the World of Outlaws, it's going to be in the deep south, or it's going to be up in that Pennsylvania area, and so there was, last weekend, I can't remember the guy's name already now, but that one on Thursday night. And like I said, Norris running towards the front, Chubb Frank's there, so it was cool to hear some of those names. I'll ask you what you thought. That I do have a question on Saturday because I only got to see the feature race. I was driving. I was supposed to be at the Lucas race at Deer Creek, but that I got all screwed up due to Mother Nature. But what were your thoughts on Thursday, Friday?
Well, first of all, Bert said that Bishop can't win anymore, and he went out the next race and proved him wrong because he won the prelim, which it wasn't one of those cut in half deals. It was an actual full point show, so he got her done the first night. So Bert was wrong. So I guess our one to go show call out still worked. And then Overton was back. I mean, he just kind of, let's face it, he kind of dominated. From that point forward, he won the second night, and then he dominated the third night. Did you see the deal with Brent Larson?
Yeah. So as a racer, so why don't I set this up for everyone, and then you as a racer could tell. So Brent Larson, as a matter of fact, he did it the night before too. He was having trouble in corner 2. He would go over the bank. So he spins out, no problem. He can fire up on his own, and Overton's leading at this time. And so he wants to race around and get his car checked out. They were pitting on the infield, if you wanted to come in and make some adjustments, such, change tires. I see Bloomquist made many stops, but he cuts down to the inside. Well, Overton's there going about half the speed that Brent Larson is, and they make contact on this caution lap. So as a racer, who has the right of way? What should you do in that situation? I was like, WTF, but as a non-racer, I didn't really know what the custom is there.
Well, I saw what happened, right? Because yellow comes out and Overton's leading, and then everybody does it. Larson was coming on the bottom, like he was coming in a hurry. He wanted to get in the pits, and I don't think he expected it to happen. But Overton, he kind of did his weave deal to kind of keep heating the tires or whatever. And as soon as he went to weave, he actually kind of come down, but Larson was coming with a head of steam on the yellow, drove over his left front. It's like, oh no, Brent, come on. I mean, he's been struggling so bad, and then you see something like that. He's just lucky, right, that it didn't make contact enough to cut his, Overton's tire down or bust something in the front end. It was no harm, no foul. He stopped. Jeff pointed that out. He's like, man, did you see that? And I'm like, no. So I had to go back and watch it. And that could have been really ugly.
Overton stopped too and said, hey, do I got some problem here? I got a tire going down. He was concerned, this is whatever. I don't know, roughly halfway through.
Yeah, it was about, I think there was like 42 laps to go or something like that. But yeah, just a really lucky deal. Because I mean, can you imagine leading a crown jewel like that and then get wrecked on a yellow? Now that brings me to Tardy, right? Your family there, and I like the Labor Day shootout one year. I'm leading the heat, Jeff's running second, and next thing you know, the yellow comes out, and all of a sudden, I like literally, I don't think I even felt him touch, but like he clipped my left rear on the yellow, left rear flat, leading the heat at Labor Day. Like literally, I wanted to shoot him, right? And it's like, I mean, I was so pissed. He didn't like drive into me or whatever. Like I didn't even feel it, but it was just enough. Like he clipped the valve stem off with the nose, like he's a pretty good driver, but he's not good enough to like just get in there with his nose and clip my valve stem off. I'm pretty sure he's not good enough. Not sure, but I knew how bad it stung, and that was only $1,200 to win a Labor Day shootout in a super stock, right? And I was steaming that. I can't imagine if he would have got wrecked leading a 30,000 win. It could have been, he's pretty soft spoken, pretty humble, but maybe one of his fans or one of his pit guys, Brent might have had some answering, after that deal. So that could have been really, really interesting. That could have been good TV right there. But worked out. So
well, speaking of Bloomquist, so I didn't, like I said, you could see in the heat stuff. What was he had this normal body, normal car on whatever Friday, and I know I saw him Thursday. I saw Friday. Did he get in a wreck? Did he blow a motor? What was the deal with just the white zero on the car? I thought it was Strickler at first.
Yeah, I really have no idea. Like, I know he's got 2 cars. They got that new one out. It just ain't working right yet. So he's got the car he's been running for the last couple of years, and then they brought a brand new one out there down to, I guess it would have been Eldora, right, that he brought it to. So I really don't know. I mean, it's hard to figure out what Team Zero is doing. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And he ran pretty well on Thursday. He was in third, and he got caught out on a restart a little bit. I think he ended up 4th or 5th or something like that prelim night. So he was actually running with I think I texted you and said Lucas is actually running well, but then just garbage the rest of the weekend. But how about Dennis Erb? 2 top 5s, a 4th on Friday and
he ran the top. Like Dennis Erb Jr.'s on the high side. How'd that happen? Like, I never seen that before. No,
passes Madden into second, then Madden ended up getting him back. But boy, a heck of a weekend for him up there. Yeah,
he did, and he needed it. I mean, he did get a win here, a couple weeks back, but he needs to stack a few together because, let's face it, confidence is a big deal, and if you ain't running in the top 5, confidence it don't come easy. So he needed a couple good runs for sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, so now just to recap that, so Madden, like I said, led the first 50 laps, Overton wins. So now Bishop has got Madden in the points by 58 points heading into next weekend. Or they don't race for 2 weekends. They'll be in Jackson, Minnesota.
Yep. And Lucas, of course, we were excited because Go for 50, Deer Creek Speedway, kind of is first place I ever won my national championship was at Deer Creek. So,
oh, really?
A place in my heart. Yep, back in 2000. And they had the Go for 50 there, and Mother Nature, your winner. I not a big fan of hers. I boo her. I don't like her at all. Kind of pisses me off. But that race washed out, and last year they canceled because of COVID. So that it's just been a bad deal. And Lucas Oil, they're going to Portsmouth and Zanesville. And you know who lives in Zanesville, right?
Rick Auckland.
Yep. So I don't know if I think he's still running a mod once in a while. I heard. I don't know. If be interesting to see, but yeah, Lucas Oil down there, a doubleheader Friday and Saturday. And did you watch any of the Hell Tour stuff?
Yes, during the week I did. I didn't get anything on the weekend, or did they even? Oh, they rained out on the weekend. But I saw so much racing this weekend. Like I said, speaking of Luke, I was so excited. I'm like, look, I'm going to Rochester. I'm going to Deer Creek. I had my stuff ready. I was so excited. I get the text from you guys at 10, 11 in the morning that they had already canceled. Then I started seeing haulers heading towards the Twin Cities, like possibly Ricky Thornton Jr. heading to Brainerd, stuff like that. I was just like so depressed because I've never been to Deer Creek, heard nothing but great things. So it was my maiden voyage to Deer Creek. Gosh, that actually might be. I don't think I've actually ever been to a Lucas race, to be honest with you.
Really?
So it might have been my maiden voyage for both, and up in smoke.
Yeah, that sucks. I know. But speaking of going to races, I went to LaSalle. I went there Wednesday with Dave, and I talked him into double features for the street stocks, and then they had the Hell Tour, the late models there for the support class. And first thing I noticed is Ashton Winger is an absolute weapon.
Holy,
he is a disaster. Now it was hammered down. It was kind of a cushion deal, especially in time trials, but it wasn't like a super aggressive deal. He's the only guy that really got out of shape, but he yard sailed a car in time trials and pounded the wall in the last lap in the feature. It's like, what are you doing? Like he's on the pump, but he is out of control. He is just an absolute train wreck.
I think he didn't race like that last year, running for the World of I think he ended up being the World of Rookie last year. I don't remember us ever talking about, hey, boy, this Ashton Winger's out of control, but there have been several instances this year where he certainly has been.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just trying too hard because he has something to prove. I'm not sure. Well, Squirrel won both. He won. I know they had 2 races. He won both of them. And so a pretty neat deal. Now, tough night for Dave, my buddy that I went there to help. Like he has a good hot rod, and he drew bad. So that started out bad. And literally in the first lap, the guy in front of him spun out a guy. He had nowhere to go, collected him, crushed a header, just wrecked a bunch of stuff. His night was over. It's like, and I talked him into going. It's like,
oh no.
Yeah, so I kind of felt bad about that, but he's got it all back together. He's ready to go for this weekend. But Clint Larson was there. So he was trucking. Right. Yeah, so he texted me. He goes, you going to LaSalle? I said, yeah. So I sat up there with Clint. That was pretty cool to visit with him. Good buddy of mine, pitted for me, raced for years and hunted with them. We did a lot of stupid shit together, I'll be honest. Like, that's a story for a whole other day. We got
we'll do that in the winter. Clint Larson,
we could have like a month-long episode of like all the dumb stuff that I did with the Larson boys. I promise. Like that would, some of it we probably don't even need to talk about. But we were walking. One thing that I noticed, we were walking, right? Kind of, they have a nice concourse there. They don't race at LaSalle weekly, right? They haven't for 3-4 years. Just specials. And me and him are walking. All of a sudden we hear, wow! We hear like a yell, right? This is kind of before the races. We look up, the top rungs there on the grandstands. Some dude was walking and his foot went right through the planking. And like he was all the way down to his nutsack, and like a guy grabbed him. I'm like, I thought the guy was gonna fall all the way from the top down. We got up there and looked, and like because it's a wood bleachers, right? And you can tell it's pretty dated, right? Now let's be honest, like 2x12s right now are really expensive, right? Really expensive right now. Yeah. But you can tell that it's, so here's some advice to race fans. Just if you're in a wood grandstands, just be kind of leery about where you walk, because that's always been a phobia of mine, kind of walking and you kind of feel that little springy step when feels. And when I saw that deal, I'm like, oh my gosh. So fortunately nobody got hurt, but Squirrel, he got a couple wins there, which was good for him. And
Let,
You
let
know,
me let me back up this LaSalle
yeah,
here. So is Izzo still running it, and what is that facility like?
it's actually pretty nice track. I mean, I mean, they got
I
some
know
nice,
the track's nice. Yeah, the
yeah.
track's racing.
So the facility, I mean, it's dated. It's pretty
Okay.
worn. It has a lot of potential, but the pits are kind of up off of, I guess it would be up off of 3 and 4, kind of elevated up there. And then the grand, they got a fairly decent sized grandstand with some booths up top and whatnot. And then they got a concourse down below, but it wasn't set up like, you can tell that they don't race there. They had food vendors come in, and all that, because they don't race there weekly anymore. So he's not going to staff a concession stand or whatever. The sound was, one thing I noticed with a lot of these tracks, the speakers are kind of non-existent. That's a question I have for you. Let's go there. So we watch a lot of racing online, right? And when you get a good announcer, it can really add. Like you listen to Johnny, I think it's Johnny Gibson, right, with the World of Outlaw Sprints. You listen to him, or you like Ruben. Ruben is awesome. Ruben Morales, like he's phenomenal, right? And you listen to these announcers, and to me, it adds a whole nother dimension, like listening to the commentary, the play-by-play during the race. Then you get to the race, and it's like it's that aspect's gone, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of like that. What is your thoughts on that? I mean, is that something like? Do you like hearing that play-by-play, kind of the callback? Yeah. Do you not care? What is it to you?
Yeah, no, I'd rather not. Yeah, I know. I want to hear. Like I said, when you go to the races, you kind of feel the races. I want to hear the race. It's that's all his background noise. Normally, I'm blocking it out, and I know they have to do it. Because I know, like for Cedar Lake, they've been doing it for years because they've been, they're way ahead on the filming. Dirt on Dirt,
right?
Doing Cedar Lake for like 10 years. So stepping, they'd be coming around and what have you. But yeah, I think they can turn off the mic up front. You can't hear them anyway. And then, what if you have, like you said, that casual fan that only shows up once in a while and thinks they're supposed to be listening, and then they leave and like, well, that was so dumb because I didn't even get to listen, and because I couldn't hear them. Did they think they're supposed to be, doing a play-by-play? So yeah, what do you think?
I like it. I like it because even like watching, like if I watch NFL football, like I actually really enjoy it. Like I hate going to like Buffalo Wild Wings or a bar or whatever, and like they have you can't hear anything, you're just watching the game.
See that situation, I like it. It's just racing because it's so loud. But right. I agree with you.
Right. So and at the track, you can't hear that anyway. I mean, you can talk all day long. I mean, they'd have to have the mics turned up to where it was almost deafening to overcome that. But it's something I've gotten used to because over the last year and a half here, I've watched a ton of racing online. I've gotten so used to hearing that, right? And then all of a sudden I got there, I'm like, that was kind of weird not hearing that. So it's just kind of a different deal. But I know they got 5 races coming up. Now, Eastern Wisconsin, so Bert was going to weigh in on this. He couldn't make it again today, but he's back next week. I'm excited for that. They had the Scheffler Tribute race over at Plymouth, okay? Now, did you see that race, Puka?
No, but I saw the main part of the race.
The main part of the race. So Brad Mueller gets the lead, right? And why don't you walk them through kind of what you saw? I'll say what I saw. I'm going to show the clip because Bert sent us a couple clips. This was probably one of the most violent rollovers I've seen in a late model in a long time. He was okay. So when you see this, we're not showing something driver got hurt or what. Right. He's okay, thank God, because, I mean, he took a tumble. But, what happened there? What did you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, he come around. Now, what I don't understand about it, maybe, I don't know, something broke, but it looks like the car really squats down for a second, and then he basically launches, that nose of the other car. So I was going to ask you, do you think something broke? Because, do you feel the car sat quick and then just launched and then, violent rolls. And then what, they have some 55-gallon barrels there that actually stopped him?
It looked like it. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Something like that. I think he just grabbed the brakes because the lapper on the outside just kind of come down just a little bit.
Oh, so
it wasn't like he come down the arm sail, but I think he braked. When he hit the brakes, it kind of sat. And I don't know where he caught him. I mean, I'll have to look at the video again myself, but it looks like he maybe caught him in front of the left or right rear tire because that thing just yard sailed into the air. I mean, it was insane. And so that was a deal with a lap car there. One of those deals. Thank God nobody got hurt. But then what was it? Ron Burnell. He parked in victory lane. Now that's his second big win because he he has a Discount Shop Towels Dirt Kings win earlier this year as well.
Yeah.
So that's
Bert is a sleeper out there, because I think I've shared this story before. 06, 07, he led the Challenge Series points mid-season for a while there, because he was coming from there to Fargo, I think he had to run that swing that's back when they were still doing Alex, Madison, Aberdeen, and all that stuff. And because Ed Reichert does such a great job about, in all the dirt.
Oh, I mean, no, he was there too at LaSalle. Speaking of, yeah, he was there. Yeah,
I mean, that guy
travels all over. So yeah, Ed Reichert.
Oh my gosh, we should have him on sometime. Just ask him how many tracks and how many shows. How many shows in your life? How many shows in a year? I mean, we could go everywhere with that guy. But I think it was an article in All the Dirt with him where he kind of caught up with him and said, "Yeah, we're gonna do this deal and such." So yeah, Berna's kind of a sleeper out there.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. Berna, I think Anvilink got second in that deal. So I mean, he's staying pretty hot over there as well. But definitely some good racing. And then of course the Dirt Kings race rained out. They rescheduled it for this week. Just a quick deal there. Seymour's running what is it, Outagamie Speedway? They're running Friday. They have late models this week, which is kind of a rare occurrence over there. And then Saturday they reschedule it. They're having the Discount Shop Towels Dirt King Series at Shawano. So pretty excited for that. Now, what do you say we get into some who's hot and who's not, brought to you by our friends over at L&M Radiator. Puka, why don't you take a minute and just tell these folks what's going on over at L&M Radiator right now?
Yeah. They've been a partner with us now for a few weeks, and we talked about them. If you're looking for a job, it's mesabi.com. We will have the website in the show links, MESABI, mesabi.com. All kinds of jobs. That was a few weeks ago. They needed 34 people yesterday. But here, I just want to kind of go through some of the benefits that they offer. So here's what they offer. Competitive wages. Benefit package that includes healthcare, dental, vision, life insurance, disability insurance, 401k, profit sharing, production bonuses, paid time off, and holidays. So let me go through that really quick again. Healthcare, dental care, vision care, life and disability, 401k, profit sharing, production bonuses, paid time off, holidays. They even provide you with your uniforms and such. Now, some of that stuff doesn't qualify you right away. You need 30 days or 90 days to get like the paid time off is after 90 days, benefits after 30 days. But mesabi.com, their theory or their little slogan is work where you play, like me and Ryan have talked about, less than a mile from L&M Radiator, from the plant, Hibbing Raceway, 30 miles away, Donlinger Auto, Grand Rapids Speedway. So come work where you play. Check them out at mesabi.com.
Now, there is one more benefit to working there. See, if you apply there because you heard about it on the show, let us know, right? And if you get a job there because of that, the One to Go show is going to throw in a family pass to the Hibbing Raceway, so they can go over there. So if you get a job, get a hold of us. We'll take care of you too. So who do you have there, Puka? Who's hot? Give me a few drivers. Who's hot?
All right. So I was just looking here, and we're going to talk about a little bit in a minute here, but the structural buildings challenge series back racing last week. Jimmy Mars has put together a couple of good weeks. Brandon Kopp, I don't know how many laps Brandon Kopp has at the Donlinger Ford Grand Rapids Speedway.
He's got six wins on the year. He had
6 wins, yeah. So he come up, beat the Brokings up here. Not an easy feat, was kind of. Johnny was there, but I'd say, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 car lengths, so it's not like Johnny was.
Him. And he passed him to do it.
Drove by him, yeah. So he's looking pretty hot. And, I think we got a guy we talked about last weekend, but Nick Hoffman, it continues. He's got all 7 wins, and he's almost got double the points of second place at the Hell Tour for the Modifieds.
There's a couple of drivers. I think Rusty Griffa was one of them. A couple different drivers. They gave him a call out on Facebook saying, hey, I'm looking for a ride. Put me in his car. Put me in your car. I can beat him. Like there's some people calling him out. Like he's only human. He can be beat. Like there's some, and I'd be interesting. He's tough to beat right now. I talked to Mike McKinney over there, and he's like, I don't know. He goes, I feel like I'm pretty good, but he's just like that much better than all of us right now. So that thing's a rocket ship. Now, who do I got? I got Cole Searing. He swept the weekend. 3 wins. He's got 6 of the last 7 that he won. First late model driver in our area, right, in the power rankings region, to hit double digits. He's at 10. And the only one he didn't win in that deal, Puka, he got put to the back kind of on a question, not kind of, it was a questionable call, and he came from last to second. Okay. So he is absolutely on fire right now in that 10. And I had Becker number 1 in the power rankings, but I'm telling you, he's driven by Becker a couple straight weeks now. That 10 car is looking really good. Now, the other one I have, Tony Liker. Last week I said both Likers. This week I said Tony Liker. 5 wins in a row. Could be number 6 tonight. Tonight is night number 4. It's Monday night. We're doing the show. Night number 4 of the Mountain States Mod Tour. He won all 3 of them deals, and he won one of them from 12th. So he's been absolutely incredible. Puka, in 12 races, 8 wins, 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're up in the 30s there for BMOS. It's not like they got like 8 cars, 12 cars, whatever. Like they got some legit car counts. He's driving by people. Tony Likers for real. And then I have Ryan Satter in the street stocks. Okay. He won 7 of his last 8 and has 11 on the year. So Ryan Satter has been really good, and he outdueled Parker Anderson. We've been talking about Parker Anderson quite a bit. He was right on him on a restart there at Fergus. He drove away from him after the restart. So Satter's red hot. Now, who's not?
How about Cade Dillard? Front row start, back pedal to about 10th on Saturday night. And, we just haven't talked about him. A guy in about late July a year ago, we were like, boy, is he going to overtake Ricky for second place in this Woo points deal? He just seemed to keep getting better. And we just haven't mentioned him this year, just cold as ice. And he was the defending champion of the Firecracker 100 at Lernerville from last year and just was non-existent. And I know – oh, go ahead.
Side note on him, he was at LaSalle on Wednesday.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, coming through, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's a long drive. That's 8-10 hours or whatever. So I was surprised he just didn't drive straight up there. He stopped at LaSalle, and he didn't really have a great night. I think he got lapped, and then they loaded up and they headed up to Lernerville. So yeah, he's trying to get some laps under that deal, but yeah, he wasn't very good.
Yeah, and I know you want to touch on this a little bit too, but Ricky, from our favorite Canadian friend Ricky Weiss. We talked a couple of weeks ago about shots and that 80-20 rule. Ricky a year ago was definitely 80% or 20% of the drivers can win 80% of the races. Right now, Ricky is not in that ratio. There's an 80% chance that he's not going to win a race, unfortunately. I mean, we're kind of rooting for him because he's a local guy, but continues to struggle. And then, like you said, the B1 bomber and, Brett Larson, we know that Brett Larson is not a bad driver. But he is so cold. I mean, he's cold as ice. No, he had that great run in Mississippi Thunder, a month ago? Right. But now he's just cold as ice. Now, looking forward, they're going to be at Red Cedar in a couple of weeks. Then, obviously, 3 nights at Cedar Lake. Maybe he can find some. But like I said, he looped it a couple of times. Now, I don't know if there was contact or anything because they don't show replays. All you saw was him spun around. But like I said, corner 2 nights in a row, there he was. And hitting over 10 during the caution lap. He's just, and like I said, he's got Red Cedar, late model championships. He's got Cedar Lake championships. He's got Wazota 100. I mean, he's got it all. He's not a bad driver, but man, he just, like you were talking about confidence earlier, 0.
Yeah, he can't have much. It's sad to see how bad both of them two are struggling. And I'll start with Ricky. I got that number 7 guy from Canada because literally his name is just a non-factor. 17th, he did get an 8th night 2, then 14th. He's just been a non-factor. I mean, the best thing he can do is scrap that whole sniper deal, get in a Longhorn, get in something else, get in something to where he can actually go compete because whatever he's doing right now is not working. Now, the next thing I have here, let's have a little twist. It's not a driver. This is the Western Wisconsin Promoters. In fact, all y'all should get donkey awards, like every one of you. Okay, all y'all. Okay, I mean, literally, I just don't get this. July 4th week, okay? Some people argue this is a bad week for racing, for fans. People want to go with their families. Some tracks just take the whole weekend off. Some tracks look and say, hey, we want to have some specials. I think it can work either way depending on where you're at. But here's what's going on this week. Eagle Valley Speedway, okay? Friday night, Christmas in July. Dude, it's 5,000 something to win from us. They got big
wow.
Things. Yeah, I got it right here in front of me. Okay, so,
IMCA, what are they? IMCA, right?
No, they're non-sanctioned. Run your own rules. Okay.
Oh,
yeah. So They have that show there. So here's what they have going on. It is 5,023 to win at for mods. It is 2,523 for Midwest mods, 750 for streets, and it's 1,500 to win for super stocks. Okay.
Wow.
Then you have the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Okay. They have an event coming up, and they're up to right now. It's like, let me look here. It's 3,749 to win Friday night for mods over there. Okay. So Mississippi Thunder, they're racing. Okay. Now let's jump into the fact that Red Cedar Speedway has a regular night. Okay. SK Speedway has a regular night. The Border Battle in Superior, right? They run Friday, Saturday. That is 2,500 to win each night for mods, and they have better pay for supers and Midwest mods as well. Then you add in the fact that Cedar Lake has the World of Outlaw sprint cars. I don't even know what to tell you here. I'm looking at the mod counts. I pulled this up, okay? They're averaging at these tracks, like the average right now for modifieds, Puka, in our area is 11.5.
Ooh.
That's the average. Now Menominee's a little higher because they've had a couple nights where it's been pretty good at Red Cedar, okay? And Eagle Valley Speedway, Red Cedar's averaging, they're averaging 14.8. Eagle Valley's 13, okay? Because they've had a couple nights where Menominee didn't run. SK, they're averaging 5. So that's pretty good, right? Where are these cars coming from? So they got these mod specials, right? And I get it. So Eagle Valley is non-sanctioned. So you can run WISSOTA, USRA, IMCA, don't matter. You can run whatever, okay? Mississippi Thunder, they're running USRA, right? So they got kind of their core group of guys. Menominee's going to have a regular night. They get, but who's going to go to Menominee? Would you go to Menominee for 500 to win, or would you go to Eagle Valley for 5,000 to win? Right. I mean, and literally it's 5,000 to win. It's like 200 or 250 to start or something like that. Don't even make sense. So then you got the northern guys are going to go to Superior. So now we got all these special events that really, I'll be absolutely shocked if you even see a B name at any of them.
Right now. Well, I've been meaning to ask you, because whatever, was it about 10 years ago? It was about when you got into the mod. Isn't that kind of when they changed the rules and they said, basically the mod motor is a late model motor. So you had to pay more for the motor, but you didn't, the pay obviously didn't go up to the late model level. And I was just, because you got into a mod and then the Brokings moved down from late models into mods. And Jeff Broking got out of his late model, moved into a mod. And Provenzino ended up with a mod for a couple of years. And I thought, what is going on here? And that was roughly, whatever, we'll call it 10 dozen years ago. And I don't know, I guess there's more than one factor, but is that how long it takes people? Because like I said, I guess if you get invested into something and all of a sudden you're 2 or 3 years in, you get a few more parts, maybe you want to buy another chassis, you start making some progress. Does it take 10 to a dozen years for a cycle to kind of run? Because at the time, I didn't think it made a lot of sense. If the expense side was going up, but the pay was staying the same, I know you could race more. And of course, there's the B mod factor. Are they stealing, cars? But yeah, following WISSOTA for 30 years, I've never seen, like you said, there used to be 2 modified features at the WISSOTA 100. There were so many of them. And now
we're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second here, okay? But let's go with it this way. So first of all, the promoters over there, they continue to not work together, right? I mean, they're all stepping on each other's dicks. Every single one of them. It's just poor business. It's like, it just makes no sense, okay? But my third one of not hot is WISSOTA modified racing. Do you realize there's less WISSOTA mods licensed right now than late models?
No, see, that stunned me too.
It's flabbergasting. There is very few WISSOTA modifieds out there. I mean, it is absolutely, the numbers in that class are so far down, it's not even funny. Let's face it, we do not need 2 mod classes. Don't need it. It's absolutely unnecessary. And this is the time right now. We just got to they got to rethink this whole deal, because you look at the numbers right now, and like I just said, I mean, it is absolutely, it's $11.5 in our area. We'll talk our area, which is Hibbing, Grand Rapids, right? I'm going to name you 5 tracks, okay? Hibbing, Grand Rapids, Proctor, Bemidji, and Superior. Out of those 5 tracks, which one do you think has the highest mod count weekly.
Superior.
Yep, and I think that makes the most sense. Okay.
Yep.
Which one's next?
Only because I went there once last year and saw it. Could it be Bemidji?
It's Bemidji. Bemidji has a higher average count than Proctor, Grand Rapids, and Hibbing. I never in a million years would have guessed that ever, right? And right now, and let's not get too excited because it's 10.2, right? That's the number. Grand Rapids is averaging 8. They dropped them this week. Grand Rapids dropped them this week, okay? Because they were going to run them. They had them on the schedule, but they just lost a car. Well, Kelly Esty sold his. He wasn't running there every week anyway. Ryan Jensen, we'll just talk about it now. He barrel rolled. It was a violent rollover, and Hibbing destroyed the car. He was okay too. Talked to him. Thank God he's a little sore, but he junked his car. They might be done. They're not on a huge budget. He might be just
right.
Like they're completely done. Well, that leaves like who's left, because both Brokings are going down to the border battle, and they ain't been running real good, right? So they're like, we're going to go down and test because like we're like not running as good as what we want to run. So they're like, we're going to go test. So that was going to leave them like 3 cars.
Yeah.
Opio, Bolio, and Jeff Tardy's off this week on Thursday. So he was going to race there. That's it. Well, you can't, because Jeff Wood Jr., he's going to go to Superior, right? So you start looking at this, it's like, maybe they just need to get rid of them. I don't know. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second here. In fact, let's talk about this first. The fan question of the week. And of course, the fan question of the week is brought to you by Shane Howell and Cowboy Up Racing. Follow him on Facebook. But the question comes from Bob, a friend of mine, Bob. He says, are IMCA mods right now a better option than WISSOTA mods? So if you're a racetrack in the area, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever, is it make more sense to go IMCA mods than it does to go WISSOTA mods? So I don't know if you're too much in tune on this, but do you have any initial thoughts on that before I share my opinion?
Well, the only things I can think of is, our last 10 minutes, it seems to be pretty obvious where WISSOTA is going. And I believe, because we talked a little bit last week, I asked you with Brainerd and some of these Granite City having these big races, do you think they'd poach any WISSOTA drivers? And you said, I think your word was concept engine in an IMCA mod.
Crate. Yeah, they have a crate engine in there. And the good part about a crank, in theory, right? In theory, is it's a GM crate motor. They're $6-7 or whatever they are. They're cheap, right? It literally costs just a hair more for a new crate than it does to rebuild, a WISSOTA motor. Okay, so there is that. So if you wreck one, it's just the same as rebuilding one. Not a huge deal, but they got to tech it, right? I'm not a huge fan. I like the local businesses. We got a lot of engine builders. Of course, got Zuli race engines and all that. We want them to have business. So not a huge fan of the crate. But if I was to get back in racing, I would be more interested in running an IMCA mod than I would be to run a WISSOTA mod. Okay, why? Number one, it's cheaper. There's a lot of things about it that is cheaper. Okay, I'm not saying it's massively cheaper, but it's pretty significant how much cheaper it is for an IMCA mod. Okay, number two, I can literally take the same car puka and run all over the entire country and not change a dang thing at all. Right. That appeals to me, right? Because when I went to Florida racing, I had to have a whole different tires and fuel and different engine. You go to Arizona, that's totally different again. You run IMCA, WISSOTA drivers, WISSOTA right now, they're on an island. Okay. WISSOTA, the way that they've made their rules, they've cut their own throats in all these classes. We talked about it with the late models, right? You got the Dirt Kings and you got the Tri-State Series, and they're going, hey, we got all these different engine packages. We're going to make it work, right?
Right.
And you got WISSOTA going, oh, no, we have ours. You can't run a WISSOTA mod or late model anywhere in the country. Right. Anywhere. It's stupid. They got their own rules and they're stuck, okay? In WISSOTA, you have Minnesota, Wisconsin, North and South Dakota, Montana, which does not have mods. They have IMCA. Yeah, Wyoming has IMCA mods. You got couple tracks in Ontario, Manitoba. That's it. Okay. Now listen to this. This weekend at the Land of 10,000 Lakes 10K, 18 states were represented.
Oh,
18. Okay. These are, I mean, it's unreal. Now, out of 12 features, 6 states had winners. So the winners at these races came from 6 different states: Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Wisconsin, by the way, Jesse Glenn's, he got a win over there. Benji
nice.
Lacrosse, that's one of Bert's boys
Yeah.
over there in Wisconsin. He got it done in the stock car. California, there's guys from California and Kansas. There ain't a Wissota driver in California, okay? Now, there just isn't. So the cost is cheaper. You can race. There's things I don't like about IMC. There is, right? There's things I don't like their lineup system.
What's the tire rule like?
It's a spec tire. It's similar to Wissota. Their tire sucks. I mean, it's not a good tire, right? But you know, everybody's on the same page. So I mean, if it don't work, it don't work for everybody.
It's just not a good value. You're just blowing through them like Wissota. Same thing.
Same deal. And the fact is, they have less traction, which is probably better because you don't need as much motor, and that's why the crates are, you know, the crates are good or whatever. But it's cheaper. You can race all over the country, and the car counts. You know, let's just jump into it right here for that Land of 10,000 Lakes 10K. They had a 4-night deal. Princeton, 2 nights at Brainerd and a night at Granite City, Puka. 224 cars total at Princeton, 3 classes. They had 219 at Brainerd day 1, 224 day 2. Granite City was Sunday. They drew the short straw, 134. You know, part of that, it was on a Sunday. Part of that was the fact that they got done at like 3 in the morning the night before at Brainerd because of the rain delay, you know, and being on a Sunday, it just is what it is. Plus, you're racing during the day, you know, and honestly, to be completely honest with you, I think it put on a better show, right? The fact that they had less cars, because when you have 50 stock cars, 52 mods, and 32 sport mod, that's plenty. Yeah, I don't need more than that. That's enough. That's enough. You're gonna have a good show. But you know, like I said, 18 states, right? So one thing we talked about, you and I, Bert, we talked about this. What makes a special, right? Yeah. We want to see people that we never see. Right. We want to see people from different states and we want to see that. That's not possible with Wissota. It's not even a possibility because you have X amount of mods, X amount of late models. You're going to see who you see. That's it. You're not going to get you're not getting Iowa guys even coming, right? You're not going to get Illinois. You know, looking at this, there's people from Arkansas, Nevada, Colorado, Michigan, right? Oregon, you know, Arizona, Missouri. None of them tracks that. You ain't going to get anybody coming to a Wissota race for that. With IMCA, when you have a special event, it is super cool that, hey, we might get some people from that we never, ever see and make this truly special. And so I think that was pretty cool. I think they did a pretty darn good job with that event over there. You know, with as many cars as they have, let's be honest, it is not easy to run a show in one night with 200 race cars. That's a monumental task. I think they did a really good job, you know, but I think yes, the answer to that question is absolutely yes. I think that right now today, I think that IMCA mods have a better plan all around than a Wissota mod. I personally do. Now, some drivers might not agree. I don't know. That's everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it's cheaper. You can race all over the country. And for a guy like me in the middle of the winter time, if I want to go racing wherever, Texas, Arizona, not have to change anything, that's super cool. I mean, all it costs is a little bit more gas to get there, and it's just like racing at home. So I think that Wissota might need to start looking at some different options here and make some changes really quick. So,
well, let's tell them, let's have some of the racers, you know, and even fans. Why don't you comment? This is a great place where you can comment. You know, let's like Ryan said, everyone's got their opinion. Let's hear your opinion. See what your thoughts are. How was the crowd there?
It's hard to tell. I heard Friday was pretty good. I heard Thursday was okay, pretty good. Friday was good. I heard Saturday was pretty decent, but then they got the rain and the weather came in. Sunday looked light to me. But from people I was talking,
there was rain threatening through there too, wasn't there? Kind of rain coming through because we drove up and you could hit spotty showers all day long yesterday.
Yeah, so I have no idea how they did financially. Hopefully they did good because, I mean, whether when you take that kind of money, I mean, these are over $70,000 per night purses, right?
Right.
So when you put that kind of money into it, I want to see racing good. Hopefully they came out ahead on the deal for the work and effort and the time they put into it and the show they put on and the cars they had. I'm hoping they came out ahead. Hopefully they did good enough to where they're like, you know what, that was good. Let's do it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Are they going to do it again next year? Exactly.
Yeah. So I haven't heard anything yet. I haven't heard any announcements, but hopefully it was good enough to do it again, because I think it's cool to have a little mini series like that. A lot of money on the line. And again, I think my favorite part of the whole deal was the fact that they had so many states represented. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
That's special. That's special. As a matter of fact, the USA Nationals in the early 90s, they used to have because they just ran the heats on Friday, feature on Saturday. And that Friday night for 2 or 3 years, they had what was called the states race.
That's
so
right.
They picked a province and a different province, and in the different states, they picked one driver, and they had what's called the states race. So that's something that you can do there. So again, not only comment on WIZZOTA mods versus IMC mods, but if you were there, let us know how the crowd was, or if you were at Princeton or even at Granite City, because I know it gives us a better idea if maybe we're going to repeat this thing next year, because you never know, me and Ryan might make plans to be there next year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm welcome at one of them tracks, but we'll go to the other ones for sure. So let's get to, Let's get to it. The last lap brought to you by, of course, Frank Zuli Race Engines, and win list again. Billy Christ, he had a couple wins. He had a rough year so far, a lot of bad luck, but 2 wins for him this weekend. Justin Vogel hit pay dirt again. Parker Anderson, no surprise, he got 2. Trey Hess, he won the Speeders, kind of got a gift out there in Devil's Lake. The leader broke, so that there is that. And
using the old Donnie Schatz trick.
Yeah, you win some that way, you lose some that way. But and Adam Martinson in the Midwest Mod. So I mean, there it is. Proof's in the pudding. Zuli Race Engines in Victory Lane, a bunch of them. Give Frank a call. He'll take care of you. How about we do some closing thoughts and some shout outs? What sticks out to you? Do you have any shout outs, anybody that you want to give special attention to?
Well, I just want to bring it back to Zuli's. I mean, you keep every week. It's Justin Vogel. It's Parker Anderson. The old, it's cliche, but the proof is in the pudding. Get a hold of Frank. I did make it to Grand Rapids on Thursday night. The aforementioned Brandon Kopp, great race. Zach Waller's in the Wally built late model. He started up front, but, I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, can he hang on? The track was good and it was all driver. I mean, a fantastic run for Zach Wallers. And I did get to speak with his dad a little bit, the legend Pete Wallers, national Superstock national champion, went 90 and 91.
Yep.
Something like that, 2 of them. So it was kind of nice to talk to him. And just my overall sitting there, no wind, beautiful night, not a cloud in the sky, no bugs. And it reminded me, actually, the first time I ever realized, and this is just going to sound crazy, but that, racing was an outdoor sport. Like you're enjoying being in the outdoors at the same time as at the races, is when you guys hosted Kenny Schrader in Hibbing back in 2012 or whatever. I remember being there and just like, gosh, this is just beautiful. And I felt the same way on Thursday night. Like I said, it was just a nice night to be out. Racing was good. Weather was perfect. Said wind, bugs, every condition was perfect. So it just reminded me, one of the reasons that I'm really a big race fan. It was just a fantastic night. How about you?
You make a good point, because I enjoy being able to watch them online, but there is that being outside, that feeling the weather's nice. I mean, I went to a couple races this week, and I think I haven't been to 2 races in a week in a long time, right? And it was kind of the same thing. I never even thought about that. So I want to give a shout out to the I-94 Sure Step Speedway, Don Shaw over there. They had the Structural Buildings Minnesota Late Model Challenge Series there. And honestly, they've had, I think, 8 or 9 of them right now, and that's number 1. That was the best race. Jeffrey Massengill got out to a good lead. He ran really good on the bottom. Dorr tracked him down on top. Jimmy Marscombe, I think, from the 5th row, tracked them both down. Got behind late. Massengill got back to him at the end, and just racing all over that racetrack. Just a fantastic race over there in Fergus Falls. Another guy I want to give a shout out, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
He parked it in Victory Lane, man. I had no idea, Puka. First time since 2017.
Oh, really?
I had no clue. No, they've been struggling. Nothing was going right. Lots of engine issues, lots of little stuff, and just life happening. And had another kid in there and all that. But Great. I mean, they've been working hard at it, so it's really cool to see them back in victory lane over in Hibbing, and the track was pretty good in multiple lanes. A lot of a cushion in 1 and 2 because Ryan Jensen rolled extremely hard. We played that clip a little bit ago, but I'm just excited to see Tardy in victory lane. I want to give a special shout out to Brock Grunwald. Okay, now this was cool. So Friday night he went to Grand Forks. They were supposed to have the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour. Okay, it was a fair race. They were running late models on Sunday. It was just going to be Midwest mods and streets. I think rains out. So it rains out, and he's like, I still have time. He jumps in his hauler, and he drives all the way back down to Fergus Falls. Misses the heat. There ain't no heat points anymore, right? So this is a benefit to Wissota not having. He misses the heat, starts last in the feature, which I think was 14th. Gets to second. A guy gets into him, cuts a tire. Now, how many times have you seen it now with the point average lineup? A guy cuts a tire, they're like, well, whatever, we'll just start in front next week.
Oh, right.
Not him. He like changed the tire. So not only did he drive from Grand Forks to Fergus, miss the heat, and knowing he was going to start last, right? Then he gets a flat in second, goes to the back, and he comes back and gets second. He actually slid Sauer for the lead, almost had it won in the closing laps there, but that's just cool. That's a guy being a real race car driver because you just don't see that. Most people are prima donnas. No, we got a flat tire. I got a tire mark on my car. I'm done for the weekend, right? No, not him. He's like, I'm getting after it. I come here to race. He put on a hell of a show. I mean, it was impressive. If you haven't had a chance to watch that, jump on a Dirt Race Central, watch the Midwest Mod feature from this past Friday night. That was a hell of a show by Brock Grunwald. That was super.
You know, you've been bringing up Brock, and I think I actually have met him. Was he Joe Bravo's roommate?
I don't think so.
Because he had a roommate that was a Grunwald. He's from out in Moorhead, Fargo?
Yeah, maybe he was then. I don't know.
We got to find that out.
We'll do some digging on that.
I may have met him 20 years ago.
Okay, that would be interesting. He's an interesting cat. He's a wheelman, but he's an interesting cat. Let's be honest. Another guy I want to give a shout out to, the 15 TPO. Okay.
Yes, in the late model.
Usually call him the 1 TPO, but Tyler Peterson for the first time ever ran a late model. He ran Donnie Schatz's late model this past weekend. He ran the NLRA show in Ada, and then on Friday he went to the Challenge Series show in Fergus. Saturday he went to Devil's Lake. Sunday he went to Watertown. He was going to go to Grand Forks, but they rained out. He got 5th, then he got 11th at Fergus, a little bit of an off night. Then he got a 2nd, and he got a 3rd. That's pretty impressive. 4 nights in a late model, 3 top 5s, 2 podiums. So Tyler Peterson's a wheelman. I asked him if he's going to run that thing some more, and he says probably not a lot, but I'm planning on running the Sites race with it. So he'll be doing double duty there. That'll be super cool to see. Another thing, you already gave a shout out. Brandon Kopp, 6 wins, 2 on the weekend this past weekend. Impressive. Crazy night at the Gondik Law Speedway. Still waiting on. I don't think everybody's out of the woods yet. But so if you're not up to speed on what happened, they had the vintage cars there, a driver in the vintage cars, and you can jump on the Gondik page to get names and all that because I'm not familiar with all these people. But one of the drivers had a heart attack, ended up causing a crash because it hit the wall, and he got sent over to the hospital. I've heard many different reports. I don't know all the details. All we're going to say is our prayers and best wishes are with them. Hopefully they get through that quick. And then later on, just shortly thereafter, another gentleman had some heart issues as well. Right. He got shipped over there, so they had a huge delay over at Gondik. And that brings me back to the 1998 Labor Day shootout. Of course, when Dan Klaju passed away, he had a heart attack at the Hibbing Raceway, and it kind of brings back the memories. I mean, that just sucked. I mean, friend of the family, and we've known him, Big Dan, for a long time. And, so when you see that kind of stuff, regardless if we're on the same page, I mean, you think about how families are. Sometimes you love each other. Sometimes you want to beat each other with a baseball bat. It is what it is. Racing is the same way, right? No matter what, racing is a community, right? It's a community of people, so we don't want to see anybody get sick, but that's the racing community. We're pretty tight knit, so we don't like to see that kind of stuff happen. Another thing that I'm going to talk about, is this weekend, there's really not much late model stuff going on, right? So Saturday, I think Miller Central Speedway, they have a regular show. So if you're a late model guy and you're like, where the heck do I go on Saturday? There ain't nowhere to race. Viking Speedway, Alexandria, Minnesota, 1,500 to win for late models this Saturday. They're having a standalone special. No driver fee, no entry fee. So they have a deal over there. Drivers don't pay to get in, right? They said when you go to the circus, the clowns don't pay to get in the circus, do they? Right? Well, us racers, we're a bunch of clowns too. So they have that theory. They don't pay to get in. So no driver fee, no entry fee. Head on over to the big half mile in Alexandria. Hopefully they have a good show. So that's one thing there. You know, the other thing I want to talk about, KRA Speedway, they had a memorial race here, and they're having another one. Mark Gear, he was a WSOTA board member, a tech guy, 1,500 to win and growing for Superstocks Thursday night up there. Now, I got some breaking news. Okay, not really breaking. It's a couple days old. But you know how late models have been complaining? So the Dirt Kings, one of the big things the Dirt Kings can do is they can groove their tires in the late models, right? And WSOTA, forever and ever, they're like, nope, don't touch it. No grooving, no siping. You run them like it is. And the drivers, several of them have been saying, look, we want to at least be able to groove that crosshatch. If you look at a block on a tire, there's a crosshatch in each one of them that's kind of a shallow groove. They've been saying for a long time, just let us groove that and get another night or two out of these tires, right? Well, there's a tire shortage. Okay, I talked to somebody today, and 27.5s, that's the right, typically a right rear tire for like a Superstock mod, Midwest mod, street, right? They're out. They don't have any more at Hoosier. Out. I had Hoosier out.
We've been hearing about this for a couple of months. You know, it's
right.
You know,
and there's other drivers that were down there, and they said they got like no tires. They're basically out of tires at Hoosier Tire North. Now, it sounds like it could be a week. Sounds like it could be 2 weeks, right? So now they're getting into a problem because there's a shortage with everything because nobody wants to work, evidently, right? So we won't get into that. That's a whole other conversation. But the fact is that WSOTA, they decided, hey, we're going to let them groove it because we want you to be able to get another night or two out of it. Really? Really? We've been saying this how long? We've been saying this for how long? So now we come down to like, that actually pissed some people off. I talked to some late model drivers and they were like, they're like, we've been saying this forever. And now they're coming out and they're saying, well, we've been lying to you the whole time. Come on. So let's hold WSOTA accountable here. First of all, it's about freaking time. Okay. Sure. Second of all, when tires get back to being a surplus, leave the freaking rule alone and let them continue to prove this. Why? Because you just said why. Because it allows the tires to last a little longer. I mean, come on. I mean, so it's good. Now, modifieds right now can't groove tires. You know, they have a little different deal. They don't have that same crosshatch. But I'm here to tell you that this is going to be an issue. We're only in June. It's July here in a day or two. And they're out of tires. And I don't see this getting better anytime soon. Like, I mean, I don't know. You talk about the Hell Tour, they're rationing, right? Like the tire truck, they only sell you X amount of tires. Like that's it. You get a voucher, you can buy a couple. I don't remember what the number was, but they're limiting it because they didn't want all the big dollar teams coming in there and going, we'll take 50 of them.
Sure.
And that's a real deal because in WSOTA, it's the same deal. There's certain drivers out there that have a little better budget, whatever. Nothing against them. It is what it is. But they buy 30, 40 tires at a time. I've seen it, right? Well, if they don't have any tires left, that ain't happening anymore. So this is a real problem. And, you know, I mean, so drivers right now, like, you better do what you can to preserve your tires and make them last a little bit longer because who knows how long this is going to be an issue. Don't be throwing them away. Keep them clean. Keep them out of the sun because store them in the garage, your used ones, and you take them off. Are people going to be looking like, well, that's a regular paying show. I'm just going to put some used ones on. This one's paying more and put new ones on. I know drivers out there that are mid-pack guys, right? That they get to a special and they're like, I'm putting all 4 brand new tires on. It's like, dude, you ain't going to win. Stop, right? Like, what are you like? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you see it all the time. You know, nothing against them, but it's like they're throwing money away. Hopefully those drivers are a little smarter now because this is a real big issue. So with that said, Puka, let's get to our picks of the week. And, you know, really quick, me and Jeff both had Overton. And out of all the picks that we did last week, them were the only two that had right. That's it, out of everything. Now, the Lucas races rained out. I'm at 15. Bert's at 11. Jeff's at 10. You and Keith are tied at 5. Pete's at 4. I'll post a picture of what we're picking this week. We're going to pick the Lucas races and the World of Outlaw Sprints at Cedar Lake. But let's talk about our sure bets of the week, okay?
Yeah, who you got?
Our one pick. I have Donnie Schatz at the Cedar Lake Speedway. I got the Hall of Famer himself. He scattered a motor, incidentally, there the last night at Jackson. But that's a track where you got to be straight. You're not. I have a feeling he's going to run good at Cedar. I'm taking shots at Cedar Lake. Who do you got?
Awesome. Well, I'm going with the Beer Fly down in Superior. I'm going a little bit on a limb here, but Border Battle. We'll call it Saturday night here, so I'm going to go with the Beer Fly, see what he can do on a Soup Town. He's been running pretty well. And just on a would you rather, for those of you that are out there with dirt drafts, I would rather Brandon Kopp this weekend over Darrell Nelson in Superior also. He's hot.
I think that I'm with you on that one. Brandon Kopp might be my pick to win down there, but Belfi's tough at Superior, so that's a good pick. He's actually won the Border Battle before. Yes. Back when it was 10,000 to win. He won it when it was 10,000 to win. So Bert, he has Nick Anvilink at the Dirt Kings show at Shawano.
That's a lock.
That's a lock. Shawano, Anvilink, pretty tough. And he won the first one there, so that's a pretty good pick. So I think that he's pretty right on. Now, there's a lot of racing coming up. We got our must-see events of the week. And Bert has the Hell Tour at Beaver Dam. He has the Discount Shop Towels Dirt Kings race at Shawano. And then he has the IRA Sprints at Plymouth. And that's leading into, of course, the NASCAR weekend, which is this weekend at the Road of America. And a little side note here, he said Chase Briscoe looks like he's going to run that IRA Sprint Car show as well. So that could be interesting. What are your must-see events of the week?
Well, up north here, the Border Battles, turned into a pretty cool event around the 4th of July. So I'll have my eye on that. Of course, Cedar Lake, the sprints, they only get them once a year. Remember, you used to talk about, when they only had the one-day show on a Monday for years? Remember, it was a Monday, and they finally got that weekend nestled in there. I don't know, maybe for the last 7-10 years or something. So I'll have my eye on that. Of course, the Hell Tour keeps going, keeps trucking along. So I have my eye there. What do you got?
So a little side note on remember the old Monday sprint car shows? You know what class they used to run with those, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Super
you guys,
right? So a couple things. I remember calling Bob Cook one time, and I said, "Hey, what are you paying for supers?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "What are you paying for supers on Monday?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "What's the pay?" He's like, "Regular pay. It's a sprint car show. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "All right, I'll be there." And they didn't pay very good, right? I know. And there was like 50 super stocks there we all paid way more to get in. It's like, well, whatever. We want to race in front of the sprint cars. And I'll never forget it. Kind of one of my bonehead moves of my career. I was outside pole for the feature, and they misted it, so the top was greasy. We're packing it in, and now think of it: Cedar Lake, packed house, World of Outlaw sprint cars. I'm packing it in. I goose it, and I spin out in front of the whole pack on the parade lap. I'm like, really?
No way.
It was horrible. Yeah, I'm glad that was. I'm sure it's on film somewhere. I won the feature, though, and they asked me in Victory Lane, what happened on the parade lap? I'm like, well, let's just say I'm glad it didn't happen on the green flag lap. So that was quite interesting there at Cedar Lake. Now, I have the Steffes Street Stock Tour this weekend. I mean, that's been so dang good. The River City Speedway on Friday in Grand Forks, Greenbush Race Park in Greenbush, northern Minnesota on Saturday. I had the Hell Tour, but you already kind of talked about that. Bert did too. I'm going to go with the Viking Speedway. I'm hoping that the late model guys support this. $1,500 to win for late model Saturday night. No other late model racing going on except for Miller. Late model guys, get down to the Viking Speedway. I hope they have a good show down there. And then I'm going to go with Christmas in July at the Eagle Valley Speedway. Something that, they've been promoting a little bit. George Dahlbeck put some money into this show himself. And, it'll be interesting. Let's just say they got the Border Battle, they got Menominee, they got Eagle Valley, they got SK, they got Mississippi Thunder, Cedar Lake. There's so much going on. I'm really, really concerned that any of them are going to get a huge turnout, but kind of interested to see how that turns out. That's a pretty good chunk of change on the line there.
Yeah. Well, that
1,000.
Menominee Eagle Valley thing is really heating up. I mean, whatever, 2 weeks ago, Menominee went toe to toe with that Dirt King Dirt Kings ended up getting canceled. But now this way, it looks like, I mean, they're going to go at it. This is going to be a true battle.
Exactly. Now, if it were me, okay, you're a business guy, and I'm a business guy. Okay, if it were me, right? If I were Menominee, I don't need a race this weekend.
Right.
I just cancel, right? Because why would you? Like, I mean, you look at it and it's like, you got the border battle. That alone usually draws some cards, right? Usually, it wouldn't be surprising to see Ashley Anderson make a trip up there, right? He's done that. Jake Hartown, Mike Anderson.
Yep.
Right. Now Buzzy, I think he's still sponsored by George Dahlbeck. So I assume that he'll go, if he races anywhere, I'm sure it'll be Eagle Valley, right? So you start looking at Menominee, it's like, who are they going to get?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not saying like I'm for Eagle Valley over Menominee. I'm just saying on a business aspect, like when they got that big of a show 40 miles down the road, you're trying to run a regular show, that don't even mathematically make sense. Why would you even do it, right? And then the flip side of that SK, which they're struggling anyway, I would have to think there's a couple cars over that way. Some of them guys that come down from Ashland, like Cole Spacek, right? He's been down there. I can see him going to the border battle, right?
Right.
Well, there. So, and it's July 4th weekend. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. If it were me, if I was Menominee, if I was SK, I would cancel it. It just, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So with that said, let's end with this. What's your plans for the weekend? You doing any racing? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be doing any racing. Mommy's coming home and, wheelchair and all that good stuff. So we're going to have to be taking care of her. Is Hibbing racing Saturday?
No.
Are they taking the weekend off? Okay. So, and Thursday night I can't make here because I'm at a soccer game in Duluth. So it might just be FYE or no, it wouldn't be FYE, it'd be Dirt Vision with the sprints and some of the other stuff. Looks like it's going to be hot, but I think I'll be out on the lake during the day and maybe catch a little racing at night. How about you? Heading back to Sycamore?
I know. I'm super thankful for live streaming because I'll be catching a lot of these races online. But I'm actually heading down to Arkansas. We're leaving Wednesday morning. We're heading down to Arkansas. We got a big an annual event we do down there for business. Going to do some golfing. Incidentally, I'm not really good at golfing, right? I enjoy it. But we're going to do that and maybe hang out at the pool. A friend of mine down there's got a 4,600 square foot houseboat. So knock on wood, hopefully the weather's good. We'll go hang out on that a little bit. But just going to do hang out with some friends and family here this weekend over the July 4th weekend and have a good time. But there's definitely some racing. So race fans, do what you can to get to the tracks because Puka couldn't have said it better himself when you said, one nice thing about racing is you're outside, the weather, getting some sun, which is always good for you. It's so much better being there in person, the atmosphere, and if you can't make it, there's tons of streaming options. Jump online, watch some racing, cheer. And I don't remember who the heck it was. It was Travis Sauer. He won. He says, man, I want to thank all the fans. Cheer as loud as you can, scream for the ones that you like, and throw beer cans at the ones you don't. Just as long as you're out, it don't matter. I'm like, that's cool. He said that, I think, at Viking Speedway when he won. And he's right. That's what we need. We need that passion, right? We need that energy. So, we all do this because we love it. And hope everybody has a great 4th of July weekend. And, Puka, I'll let you take us home.
All right. So, God bless America, of course. So, yeah, like I said, comment on that IMC mod versus Wazota mod. We'd like to hear what you guys think. Thank everyone over at G.O.A.T Sports. We might even be looking for a video editor. So, if somebody's out there looking around for something like an internship or something, theonetogoshow@gmail.com, theonetogoshow@gmail.com. Again, I want to thank Dirt Track Supply, Ellen and Radiator, Cowboy Up Racing, Zulie's Race Engines. For Ryan Aho, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream, your tune to the One to Go Show.